Assalamu alaikum, good evening. I am Nawfal Abdul Majeed. We feel stressed when we hear about interviews. It is important to do interviews successfully as it is the key to a success. Our guest today is Mr. ALM Ameer, who has more than 40 years of experience in the field of quantity surveying in all construction environments. Welcome to AKP News.
Thank you.
Let me start off our discussion by asking you to tell our viewers about yourself.
I'm ALM Ameer, author, chartered quantity surveyor, arbitrator, certified construction auditor, and had about 40 years of experience in all construction environments: contractor, consultant, client, and teaching. So, with that experience, I hope to tell you something about these interviews.
You said you had authored 4 books,
Yes.
one of which is How to Be Successful at Interviews. What made you to write this book?
That is a very interesting question. When we were in the municipality, we used to interview people from the consultants who appoint for our projects. So there was one interview in which I had the project QS and there were 2 other QS in the panel. So I asked the interview fellow, you assume that municipality is appointed you as a postgraduate quantity surveyor for a project of 40 million. The contract period is 350 days. Your appointment is day 1 of the project. Tell me, the 5 items of work we will do during the next 5 weeks. One payment will come, I'll give the benefit of the doubts and take it as 1. 4 more please. I'll stop this interview and I'll select you. That's all. I give my word for it. Then, unfortunately, he was unable to answer that question. He said only 2 or 3, but he couldn't come to 5. Then he said, he got up. I am failed. I am going. Then I asked the fellow, have I interviewed in the wrong way? Is it wrong for me to interview that way? Then he said, no, you are a client and you want 5 items of work which I will do during the next 5 weeks. I couldn't tell the answer. I am failed, I am going. Then the other 2 said, the other members of the panel said, no, we will interview because they have already prepared the questions. Last night they have written all that and come. They said, we want to interview. I said, okay, go ahead. Then they were screwing him for about 1 hour. They asked all questions. He answered all the questions successfully. Then finally, when the interview is over, the other 2 said, he is suitable, we will select him. Then I said, well, majority decision. Okay, I will select him, there is no problem. Then I was trying to call him because unofficially we have to tell. The government department takes 15-20 days for approval. Unofficially we will say what happened to the interview. So when I called him, he didn't answer. And again I called him. Then I said, this is regarding that interview. I know that I am failed. Then I told him, no, you are passed. Because the other 2 members of the panel said that you are suitable. I go by the majority decision and I have selected you. Then he said thank you and all that. And finally he was working in my project. Whenever I see him, I have a guilty conscience because he might feel that he also doesn't know that 5 questions. He just wanted to knock me out, And there are a lot of cases like that. Because at the interview you would have asked me, okay, I fail. You tell me the 5 things I want to learn. That's all. Then I would have answered it and that was the end of the story. Then what happened was I had a printout. And I gave him. So he had a look at it. That printout contains 12 items of work during the next 5 weeks or whatever. Then he went through all that and he told me that you have a moral requirement to share your knowledge with others. And because of that, I wrote that book.
Yeah.
Then when I wrote that book, I sent that to UK in one of the publishing companies. And the company got closed. Yes, company got closed. Then that question, that book only for quantity surveys. I gave 2 people to have a look at it, to see grammar and presentation and all that. One QS and other is an accountant. And the accountant said 95% of English I will see. Both of them said one thing, that we didn't stop the book. We read that completely and then only we stopped that reading it. So that means that was interesting, and it was a small book only for the QS. So I published it. I spent a lot of money, I published in UK. After some time the company got closed and that was the end of it. Then I expanded that book to cover all the other construction professionals and wrote this book. I published this book after that. I mean, incorporating all the professionals like civil engineers, project managers, all that. That was this.
In a typical interview, the interviewer asks a series of questions, but you asked him just one question and had said that you would select him if he had answered that single question. Didn't you feel it was unconventional?
It was not actually one question, but I asked him, boss, you tell me 5 items of work which you will do during the next 6 weeks. There are so many items of work. I asked him only 5. And that also I told him one. Payment certificate will come and I give the benefit of the house. So he has to take only 4 items of work, which you couldn't say. And that is why he got up and said, I am going. Because he knows that you should know that question. And comes to think of it, one question, this Australian Institute of Quantity Survey, Australian Institute of Quantity Surveys, I went for associate membership interview. Then that man asked one question. What is your opinion about FIDIC clause number something, he said. Then I told him, you should not ask this question to me. This is what is known as ability to recall questions. Because you don't know what clause you will ask. I had to buy heart the entire book, the entire big book. And it is not necessary. The book is available everywhere. So your question is wrong. Ability to recall questions you do not ask. You should ask comprehension questions. Now see, for example, when you ask what is Ohm's law, only if you know Ohm's law you write, then you get 1 mark. Then based on Ohm's law, they give a sum, a problem. For that it carries 16 marks. So at this professional interview, you should ask comprehension questions, not ability to recall questions. Then the chairman said, there are three people in the panel. The chairman said, you cannot dictate us how the interview to be conducted. But anyway, point taken. But he said, we are taking that point. And he, fully described that clause. When there is a contract price increases and all that. After listening all that, I told him, this is, now for any clause in the construction, there are 2 types. Some clauses have no logic. For example, if you cross the red line at Dubai municipality, 1,000 fine. There is, why it is 1,000, why it is not 200? There is no logic. And not only that, suppose you go there and your wife gave a call home and she is something hospital and all that, you see the road, nobody is there, nothing doing. You cross the road, 1,000. There is no logic in certain clauses. And this particular clause has a logic. It has a logic. It has a thinking behind it. And I gave him 2 examples. One is we applied the clause as it is. And the other, we didn't apply the clause. I told him why we applied the clause in the first case and why we didn't apply in the second case. And it took me about half an hour to explain that question. One question, one answer. That is all I said. You can go. And I was selected. That is all about it.
Every interviewer is different.
Yes.
And their exact questions may vary.
Yes.
In this discussion, we are going to focus on most commonly asked questions. The first common questions they ask, tell me about yourself. The interviewer is not particularly interested in knowing about you. He is just looking at your language and communication skills. How important is it for QS to learn English and improve their presentation and communication skills?
It is very, very important. I stress it's very important because a QS is like a lawyer. You have to fight for your rights. I mean, if you work as a contractor, then you have to fight for your rights. So you should know your language. I mean, presentation, preparation, and everything you need English. English, you have to learn it. There is no second word in that. It is a necessary evil. You have to learn it. That's all. You need English you have to attend meetings, and especially when you are in a meeting, you should always see that your presence is felt, both professionally and otherwise. So to make your presence felt at the in the meeting, you should have English.
So it helps at the interview and at the work as well, you mean to say?
Definitely, everywhere. Now, if I don't have the skill, then I can't write these books.
Yeah.
No? You should have English. There is no second word.
Yeah. So before we move on to the second question, I have something to ask about our Sri Lankan QS. Majority of the quantity surveys who are working in the Middle East are Sri Lankan. There are quantity surveys from countries like Pakistan, India, Philippines. Yet, the employers give preference to Sri Lankan QS. What makes them special?
Sri Lanka has a quantity surveying history. But upon those in 1980, I think in the early 80s, the construction material prices went almost daily, on a daily basis. So there was a requirement for escalation clauses. That is, when you tender a project, you tender a certain price. Say cement so much, tile so much, like that. And when you do the contract, then they make the adjustment for the price increases. I mean, price adjustment is always increased. There is no case of decreases, always increase. So it was in such a way, in Sri Lanka, even for a small project, a QS is required. Because every month you have to prepare the valuation. Then you have to prepare how much cement has been used for this month, how much this material, that material. So a QS is required even for a small project. The QS profession, improved in that respect. Another thing is escalation clauses. The whole of this area, Middle East and all these Asian countries, only in Sri Lanka you find these escalation clauses. There is no other country. All other places are fixed price. And only in Sri Lanka you find these escalation clauses. So that means the quantity surveying has developed. And not only that, Sri Lanka is a small country. But yet, this district basis prices, cement and all that, each district has a price. And the distance between each district is only 50 kilometers. But yet, the price is different. We are so expert in that knowledge. That was one. Then they started degree level courses in the universities I think in 90s, if I don't make a mistake. In 90s, I happened to meet the Indian Quantity Surveyors President, Mr. Varghese. He's a good friend of mine. And he told me India's target to recognize QS quantity surveying as a profession in India at 2020. That is their aim, 2020, to make quantity surveying as a profession in India. And it is not a profession in Pakistan. So in Sri Lanka it is a profession. Degree level courses, and many of degree level courses, there should be cadres in the government departments. When they have government department cadres, the private sector cadres are there. So it developed. Other thing is, the British quantity surveyors were working in the Middle East. And naturally, bringing from Sri Lanka is much cheaper. So they preferred Sri Lankan people because we had all the quantity surveying backgrounds in Sri Lanka. That is why the quantity surveys in Sri Lanka it's a big place. They have some recognition in that. I don't know how long they will be able to keep it, but there is belief.
So if
that
India makes it as a professional course, the number of Sri Lankan going to Middle East will decrease, you mean to say?
I don't know. Still, it is not recognized the profession in India. Their target is 2020. I don't know what has happened.
We are in 2020 now.
20. I don't know. I didn't meet Mr. Varghese to find out the details. I don't know, but eventually it will come as a profession in India. Then might be there will be difficulties for Sri Lankan, and it is yet not recognized as a profession in Pakistan, Bangladesh. So Sri Lanka already is recognized as a profession. So they always come to Sri Lanka to recruit QSs. And those days, these 80s, QS of the 80s, they were much fluent in English. Unfortunately, the present day QSs, the language barrier is there. That is actually a drawback for our people. They should learn this language. There is no alternative for this.
Employees often ask the question to identify why you might be more qualified than other candidates they are interviewing. What makes you unique? How do you answer this question in the context of QS?
Actually, quantity surveying is a unique profession. Only in very few professions you get this. A quantity surveyor should be able to give free service to the employer. I mean, see.
Can you explain it to me?
I'm going to do that, yes. Normally in any construction, 10 to 30% fraud is there. That is, 10 to 30% of the project cost is lost owing to frauds. This is according to Transparency International. And this fraud is across the board in all the countries in the world, both developed and developing. So in any company, there is fraud, there is loss owing to frauds 10 to 30%. So you can say, as long as I work in this company as a quantity surveyor, there is no white collar thefts in the company. That's all. So the amount of gain...
Can you explain to our viewers in simple terms what white collar theft is?
White collar theft means, now for example, you want tiles, floor tiling, 1,000 square meters. Then for tiling, they will order 1,150. They will save a wastage. But actually, in the site, only 1,050 will come. The rest 100, they share it. The people who organize that, they share it themselves. So only 1,050 will come, not 1,150. So that is a white collar theft. You do it, the other theft is, you really take the cement bag out of the stores and all that, then you should have, watches and all that. This is white collar theft.
How do you call it, that those employees taking away cement bag and so? Blue collar.
That is a big theft.
The blue collar.
Yeah, that is the real theft. And this is white collar theft. Because, the theft is not known to the employer. Without knowing the money change. This is one thing. And as long as I am a QS in that company, I will do what is known as the material reconciliation. That is, how much of materials came to the site and how much has been used and what is the wastage. I will be able to find out where cheating is there or not. This is one. The other thing is, I was there in the construction industry for the last 40 years. You can take it for granted. In no project, the complete contractor entitlements are claimed. The total contractor entitlements are claimed. It's not there in any project. I can assure you that. So you can tell to the employer, as long as I am in the company, I will see that all the entitlements are claimed. And not only claim the maximum. Now, any variation is at least 10% more than the contract price. At least 10% more than the contract price. Then, if the QS is smart enough, he can get more than that. When you are working with the QS, contractor QS, you should always magnify. If there is a small variation, you must make it big. Make it look like big and then make it big. So as long as I work in this company, one thing, all the entitlements are claimed and claimed maximum. I can still remember in one project, for one small variation, I claimed 200,000 riyals more. Of my CDS research of that, I claimed 200,000 more, whereas my salary is only 5,000 per month. That is a setup. No project is 100% claimed, and all the